In our study of chromaticism on page 12 of Hal Leonard's Book 3, we come to a nice song, In the Hall of the Mountain King, by Edvard Grieg. It's a Norwegian classical piece from 1875. He wrote it as ironically to Norwegian and hoped people would understand the irony, but it's become super popular. We hear it in Inspector Gadget, and of course it becomes associated with Viking songs as well. It's in A minor, and the chromaticism is really interesting as it moves from the A minor down a half step into a chord, the B, which is higher than A. That means, of course, it's changing chord tones. We'll have a look at it quickly because it's not going to take a lot to execute it, especially as we read it from tab. Orchestrally, it starts off quietly and slowly with a soft background and cellos playing the tune. We'll run up the scale in the A minor, doing our turns on the A minor arpeggio itself. The first note is the open A, passing tone B to the C, the flat 3 or minor 3 of the A minor chord, passing tone through D to the 5, the E, and come back to the C and back to the E. Now that movement goes down a fret. It's been a 5 and a 3 in an A minor chord. It goes up 2 frets to a B chord, but down a chord tone to the root and 3. So we get motion down by a half step, and motion down by a half step again, the open 1 and open. There it makes sense. You see the B going to the B flat chromatically down to the A minor. So the chords are moving chromatically. B to B flat, total chromaticism to the A minor. The chord quality changed, but the root and the 5s have been moving chromatically. Same A minor, up to the A root, and to a 5 on the C chord. So that's a nice arpeggio up the A minor, the C, the E, the A, and down the arpeggio of the C chord, the relative major of A minor. This next line is just up an octave from that. In the B chord, they've used an open B in the book, but I've used the B on the 3rd string, 4th fret, so you can see the chromaticism. We have 4, 4, 4, D sharp, B, D sharp, chromatically down to 3, 3, 3, the D, the B flat, and the D and the B flat chord. So you'd see a B chord, a B flat, and then the A minor again. Arpeggio on the C again. We could have put that in the C chord, but I'm using as much as possible the tab that they wrote. This line goes up a 5th. We've been on A minors, as you know. A minors and E majors go together using the harmonic minor scale. So here we run up the E chord the same way the A did. It went root, 2nd, minor 3rd. Now we go up root, 2nd, major 3rd on a major chord, B, G sharp, and B, the O, 1, and O. That's the 5, 3, and 5 of the E chord. We'll go to the augmented C chord, where the open B has become a C note, and then back to the E. So we get, this is root, root 2, 3, 4, 5, 3, 5, 1, 5, 1, 5, 3, 5. Those are chord tones I'm describing. Same pattern. They play that again and you start speeding up and getting louder. I've given you the chords here as well, so you can see some of the chromaticism. You know all the chords, but I've drawn them here so we can have a look at them one more time. A minors, the B, we get that chord goes down a fret to B flat. In jazz, this motion would be called a tritone substitution. Instead of going from the 2 to the 5 chord, we go to the 2 to the flat 2. which leads us chromatically down to the 1, which does the run again, and arpeggio on the C. Just sounded like a real country song there to me, like Ghost Riders in the Sky at that moment. We get the B section, we go up a fifth to the E chord. Because we've brought in the G sharp note, they use a C augmented, or a C with a sharp 5. That's a G sharp note. That's played usually on the 3rd string, 1st fret. So I get 3, 2, 1, and 1, as this picture shows. Rarely am I going to bother getting the fingers in there so that I can get the high open E string. I'll just play this chord shape. It looks like an F chord moved down a string. Again, you're going to recognize ascending augmented chords from Roy Orbison. That's one of his themes. In an E chord, we have B's, E's, and G sharps. If I sharped the B, it would become a B sharp or a C. So C augmented, C with a sharp 5, is the same as E augmented, E with a sharp 5. It all depends on the intention of the author and the root that you use. I use the same fingering for both. This is C with a G sharp, the sharp 5. If I include the open E string, it's an E augmented, where C is the sharp 5, the raised B note. So the notes are a little too low for me to get any real good chords behind them. I'm just going to play it through with the melody, just single notes with the pick. I'm saying to play the top line again, but end with the A note. Just after this bracket here, that open A string is going to be the last note when we hit the repeat and when we hit the end of the song. You'll see that in your tab on screen, of course. So here we'll go 1 and 2 and 3, 4. Repeat that line.